Cambridge Acoustic Sciences, they probably have a lot of fun making DSP and active speakers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because to me, compared to passive speakers, there are a lot more things getting involved with the active speakers. So
Right.
in a way, Vantage Life is a departure from the path that YG Acoustics have.
Right. Well, think about it this way. If you're building passive speakers, typically what you're going to do is if you want to make a change, you pull the crossover out, solder in a new passive part, break it in, listen to it, see what it does. You know, you can do things a whole lot quicker when you're not only computer modeling, but you're using DSP as your crossover.
Right.
And it's just so much more efficient. You know, truthfully, a passive crossover wastes a lot of power. YG does things in a way where that's very minimized, but not no waste.
Right.
And so there's a real benefit to digital that way. But you know, this is going to be exciting. We're going to just keep rolling with this and keep seeing where we can take it. But listeners that have heard Vantage Live are blown away by what it does. And I understand that maybe there'd be some reticence for people to accept it, but they just have to listen to it.
Digital technology changes quite quickly.
Sure.
So is there room for upgradeability built into?
Well, there is. And so there are upgrades that can be done downloading, and we've already done that with Bel Canto. So that's really more on their side as technology changes, and there's something that's meaningful. I mean, every time there's some little change doesn't mean we're going to do that, but when something comes along that's meaningful, it's designed where we can incorporate that. I can't make promises about exactly what that means, but that's the philosophy behind digital, is that you can upgrade through software. Used to be you go to a show and you'd show all your new hardware off. And these days, here's the new software that we're showing off. And that's common.
Okay. Probably if hardware upgrade-wise, it's going to be a box that's going to be upgraded.
Well, yeah, there would be hardware changes, whether it can be modified or a board that gets swapped out or something like that. So, you know, I don't know how that'll play itself out. But as much as possible, of course, we want to do things for free for customers that make the investment and give them software updates. But there's a limit to that. At some point, you're going to need, you know, a hardware change. But that's no different than buying an outboard DAC or a preamp or an amp. I mean, if you're in search of great sound, the way Vantage Live is right now is perfectly good, but there's always something new, isn't there?
Exactly, yeah.
You know, for me, it's really exciting what YG, the journey that we're on right now. I mean, with new ownership in the company, new engineering talent, all this investment and all the things that are happening at the company, it's just an exciting place. And I think we're a company to watch. And for me, it's fun to be a part of it and to be, you know, a sales director with the kind of tools that I've got to work with. Great products that I believe in. They sound amazing. This new series that's sonically maybe a little more approachable for people. You know, like I said, with reference, if you have everything perfect and you have a dedicated room, it's unbelievably good. But you got to kind of have everything just right. And Peaks is just so much more approachable. And here at the show, people get it right away. Audiophiles are at this show typically, but anybody who just loves music just gets it.
Are you planning to develop lower model than Peaks?
Probably not. We don't know how low we can get the price of our products yet and still feel like it's a YG product. We're so adamant to make sure that we have control of things, and we don't really want to give up too much of that, and we don't want to have a product that somebody else builds for us and we market. That's not our approach. So it's always going to be expensive to build a product the way we do it in the United States with what you have to pay employees and do all that. But we just always try to find the best way to do things. And it's just not our philosophy to find sort of good enough. There's the philosophy of good is the enemy of great, and we believe that at YG.
So people are going to taste what YG Acoustics sounds like from Peak series.
Right.
In the past, you have, I understand, preferred cooler sound, whereas currently it seems that Matthew is going for warmer sound, isn't it?
Well, I think that's true. I think part of it is listening to customer feedback. I mean, I think there's a place for something that's highly detailed and accurate, and no doubt about it, but it does require that everything else be perfect in the system to get the most out of that. If something is off a little bit, then, you know, you hear that. And so having a product that's maybe just a little bit more forgiving gives more people opportunities to use maybe less than perfect electronics with it, and put it in a room where maybe there's some compromises. They can't put acoustic treatments all over the walls, and they want the whole family to enjoy it so they can all sit there and listen to music or watch a movie together. And so it's just serving more people is really what it's about.
How many times have you been to Korea?
Oh, I think maybe 6 times now.
6 times?
First time was in the early 1990s. Been in this business a long time. I really enjoy it, but I love coming to Korea.
When you were at...
I was with Wadia Digital at the
What happened to Wadia?
I saw our distributor here at the show and
Yeah.
had a good time catching up with him, the person I dealt with back in those days. You know, Wadia went through some ownership changes and all kinds of different things that happened at the company, and a lot of competition came along. At the time that I was there, that was the top of the heap, was Wadia at that time. But now you've got a lot of other companies competing for that. It's just change. But you know, there are a number of companies doing very innovative digital design these days. And
I'm an owner of DCS, and I just had an interview with SCH Precision, and they came out with a newer version of DEC, and seems that digital-wise, things are changing quite quickly.
oh, it just gets better and better all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
And even the format that we're using, in the past, not many of us use high-resolution file format. And nowadays, streaming service, they offer high-resolution music, so things are changing a lot. And we don't even have crystal ball for it, you
That's
know?
right. Well, it's just an exciting time to be an audio enthusiast because there's so many good products. This industry is actually very healthy and very strong.
Do you think so with high-end?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I think there are more options for someone than there ever has been, and there's a higher sort of priority on performance than I think there has been. Analog has continued to evolve, and it's unbelievable that you're still able to get more and more performance from an LP. It's a fun business to be a part of.
So how did COVID affect your business?
What it did is there was a lot of interest in the products because people were stuck at home, and so there was sales that were happening because of that. It feels a little weird to benefit by that. I feel kind of guilty about it in some ways, but you know, music is important to people, and they wanted to feel good when they were at home. So that was the good part of it. The bad part of it is we had the supply chain problems, and that just, it took a long time to work itself out, and so frustrating for everybody involved in that. But you know, maybe we all learned something in that process, and for us as a company, we're figuring out ways to organize the production and become more efficient in the way that we do things. The whole philosophy that we used to have is we'd get an order from someone, and maybe it was multiple different models of speakers, and we'd build their order. That wasn't the most efficient way to do it. And now we'll build batches. So we'll build a bunch of Haleys, and we'll build a bunch of Sonyas, and we'll try to build some extra ones. You know, just things like that. It just, you start thinking about what's the best way to do this, and should we be stocking up on parts, and hopefully you learn some lessons. Well,
Thank you for
it's a real
sharing
pleasure.
time with us.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you.